What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Scott Scoop. My name is Scott Mitchell, and joining me today is my guest, Richard Holliday, most marketable. How are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. And you have a massive week coming up, probably I would say one of the biggest of the year, and the year is really just getting started. So I wanted to start with Fight Life that you have on Thursday. We're finally going to be getting to see you versus Alec Price. What's your mindset heading into that match?
Well, I've been in the ring with Alec Price on numerous occasions. He's obviously a worthy opponent, but none worthy to me, in my opinion. I'm the king of Fight Life. Ever since I've beaten Masha Slamovich for that championship, nobody's been able to beat me. And some people think that I've had some questionable outcomes, that I've taken some devious turns in my matches and maybe taking the easy way out or this, that, and the other thing. It's just a lot of people chatting and talking and being jealous, really, when it all comes down to the fact that I just keep winning. I am the champion for a reason and a someone who is a standard bearer for that company. And people are stepping up to try and beat me and dethrone me, and I just don't see it happening. A lot of talk about who's the best wrestler from New England and this, that, and the other thing. And I think my name gets lost in the shuffle so much because really I'm worldwide. I'm not just a New England based wrestler, but now that I am the champion of a New England company, I think more people should be saying, well, Richard Holliday is the top guy from New England, and I prove it every time I step into a Fight Life ring.
Absolutely. And you spoke a little bit about, you win by any means necessary, but at the end of the day, you get it done. And you won this championship back in June against Masha Slamovich. And what was that match like for you going up against someone like Masha and defeating her to become the new Fight Life World Champion?
Well, she's an absolute ass kicker. That goes without saying. She's as tough as they come, male or female, does not matter. She will hit you, and she will hit you hard. The key to beating Masha Slamovich is hitting her harder than she hits you. And that's what I did. And also, I'm a very smart, tactical wrestler. A lot of you'll hear the saying of I'm a technical wrestler, or I'm a brawling wrestler, or I'm a whatever wrestler. I'm very tactical in my approach. So it's a lot of tape study. It's a lot of I'm like a quarterback getting ready for a defense, right? Like I approach my matches that way. I look for weaknesses. How can I exploit them? What are my strengths in comparison to them? And how can I have a game plan going into this match? I had an excellent game plan going up against Masha. It also helps that I'm like 200 pounds heavier than her. So there was a lot of advantages that I have into that match. Not discrediting. I mean, she was the champion for well over a year. She had some of the best matches in Fight Life history. I would say that the best match she had was her losing effort to me, which I would say was the match of the year for Fight Life.
Absolutely. And anytime Masha steps in the ring, it's gold. And anytime you step in the ring, it's gold. And it was a recipe for success from the beginning. Seeing that match and seeing how it came about, it really was something special for sure.
It was, and actually, I think I put the picture on Instagram. I had a footprint on my face for about a week after that match, and just a little battle scar. But I mean, just to show, I mean, how hard she is to deal with in the ring, and she was just as tough as advertised, if not tougher. And the footprint was just a little token of that.
Absolutely. So far on your run as Fight Life World Champion, Anthony Green, Ricky Smokes, JT Dunn, all people who tried to step up just to be knocked back down. What's next for you with Fight Life? Like, is there anybody that can take that belt off of you?
No, but I love teaching people a lesson. I love teaching people a lesson in humility and understanding that, not everybody is going to be the same as Richard Holliday. I have God given ability. I do, and the fact that, I'm a supreme athlete, extremely smart, extremely tactical. For somebody to get into the ring with me, it's a challenge. It's got to be a very daunting task to stand across the ring from Richard Holliday. I don't envy any opponent that I have. And, who my, again, it was Anthony Green, Ricky Smokes, JT Dunn, all extremely credible opponents, all champion caliber opponents, 100%. I believe Ricky Smokes right now is a champion of chaotic wrestling. So my hat's off to him. But when he gets in the ring with Richard Holliday, you're breathing rarefied air. It's just different. It's a different feel. The mood changes when I'm in the ring. When I make my entrance, the tone changes. The fans understand that. It's just a different feeling.
For sure. And your week just really gets started on Fight Life because then on Saturday you're making your return to Exodus Pro. And you're going to be teaming up with main event Duke Davis and Gannon Jones Jr. to face Cal Hero and the Major League. But what's your mindset heading into that match when you've worked with EC3 to come close to winning the championship, I should say, the NWA World Championship, and now you're in a six man.
My opinion on the whole matter is that I should be the NWA World Champion. My first encounter for the championship belt against EC3, which was the match of the year for Exodus Pro, it didn't end up going my way, but I believe that was because of um, a referee who wasn't fit to be in that position, and I think that he screwed me, plain and simple. I don't know if he got a tip from Billy or whatever the case may be, but I didn't leave that evening as the NWA World Champion. Then came across a triple threat match with myself, a new champion in Tom Latimer, and then EC3 as well. Now, listen, again, I had an approach that I took at the beginning of that match, and the referee threw the match out. And to me, it was like, why did you do that? Why did you take away a moment for the fans? Because we all knew I was going to become the NWA World Champion that night. It was in the air. It was as definitive as the sun rising the next day. But that was taken away from us. And another night, I don't leave as the NWA World Champion. Listen, the NWA, they keep leeching off of my buzz. That we're going live on YouTube again. And it seems that every time that I'm in a marquee match, the NWA decides to broadcast Exodus Pro live on YouTube. I don't see a lot of their other shows going live on YouTube, but it seems to be the ones that I'm on. I don't know, rather peculiar, NWA. Why don't you give me my flowers for once and for all and just say, yeah, you know what? Richard Holiday's on the show. We're going to go live so other people can watch this. But whatever, I just go about my business. And if other businesses want to, leech onto that, then that's fine.
Definitely. And NWA has had to have had their eye on you now for a while. They stream all their shows that you're in the big matches. And what is it like just to get close to that level, I guess you could say, of, working with EC3, working with Tom Latimer in that triple threat, which turned into a handicap match, which was another night you could have easily won the championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that's the level I'm at. It's just I'm a high caliber professional wrestler. I'm one of the best in the world at this sport currently. And whether I'm independent, whether I'm with some company, it doesn't really matter. You know, because I put my boots on just like everybody else. I put my gear on just like everybody else. It just so happens that when I put them on, I look better than everybody else, and I do it better than everybody else.
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's awesome to see how much you've taken off since the beginning because, 2024 I'd say was probably arguably your best year yet.
Yeah.
And, you've had some killer matches with Jody Threat at C4, which we can't leave out, Masha Slamovich. And, I guess what's next for you? What are your hopes for 2025 for Exodus and for hopefully winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship?
Yeah, kind of funny that you referenced two matches that I had in 2024 were both again, and two of my favorite matches, Jody Threat and Masha Slamovich, two TNA knockouts. It seems that I have tremendous chemistry with these TNA knockouts in the ring. I wonder if there is another TNA knockout that I should get into the ring with in 2025. Who's to say? I don't know. But what are my goals for 2025? Is to build upon 2024. That's any business should always say, I want to get better than the previous year. I want my earnings to be higher than the previous year. I want my, you know, um, my quarterly earnings should be better than last year, so on and so forth, right? So 2024 was a marquee year for me. I had 107 matches. I wrestled all over the globe. It was the best year of my career, 100%. Now 2025, it has to be better than 2024, because if it's not, then I took a step backwards, and I do not take steps backwards. I don't do it. I only go forward. So 2025, I believe, is going to be a landmark year for me, a plant of the flag year for me. And whether that's at Exodus Pro, whether it's at Fight Life, GCW, wherever that is. I'm going back over to the UK for a 3-week tour in February. Um, doesn't matter. When Richard Holliday's in the building, you're breathing rarefied air. And that's just a fact as I say it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get to the main event that many fans are looking forward to, myself included, Sunday night in Hammerstein. GCW presents the People versus GCW, and one of the biggest matches on the card, Richard Holliday versus Charles Mason inside of a steel cage. What's your mindset heading into that match?
There's a lot of emotions heading into this match. The first thing, and it's kind of on levels or tiers, if you will. The first tier would be I'm having a steel cage match in the Hammerstein ballroom. I think a lot of wrestlers in our industry are envious of that position, and would would say that in and of itself is an accomplishment. I'm having a a match that is a marquee match in such a historic arena. Cool. That's tier one, right? Like I'm thinking way above that. So yeah, check that off the list. Steel cage match in the Hammerstein Ballroom, but it's against Charles Mason. I don't like him. I really don't. The whole thing with the rich and powerful, he tried to get in my head when I first got into GCW, and I didn't like that very much. I don't like when people try to manipulate me. I'm the manipulator. So you don't manipulate me, Charles. So I knew I had to infiltrate from within. I had to make him believe that we were one and the same. We're not the same. You see, his whole thing was, Richard, I know who you are, and I know what you've done, and I know what you've done in the past. Referencing me stabbing my friends in the back for women or for championships or for money, and he was correct in that investigation, if you will, of my past. But the difference between him and I is that he's obsessed with the poor in a sense of he wants to kill the poor and eradicate the poor, and he cares so much about them that he bases his whole life and persona around them. Me, I hardly even know that they exist.
Yeah.
If a poor person asks me for change on the street, I just walk right by them. I don't even acknowledge them. Whereas if that were to happen to Charles, my God, he would make this whole ordeal about trying to, kill them or whatever the case may be. And it's like, dude, we are not the same. Our priorities are totally different. I'm in this sport to be the best. I'm in this industry to be number one, to win championships, to headline Hammerstein Ballroom, to make money, to travel the globe, to leave a mark, to leave history as one of the best wrestlers to ever do this. I don't know what his intentions are. To I don't know, get rid of, I don't know, dude, get into politics then, if that's really what you want to do.
Oh yeah.
I mean, does that make sense to you? And for me, listen, he is very talented in the ring. He could be someone who takes wrestling by storm. He could be somebody who goes all over the place because he's extremely talented. But for some reason or another, he's obsessed with these certain things. And I think it's a psychological disorder. He probably should be on some sort of medication. Actually, he definitely should be on some sort of medication in prison. That's where he should be. He really shouldn't even be on the streets. How he's even in this matchup is still beyond me. But yeah, me and Charles are not the same. And for him to even think that we were is an insult to me.
Definitely. So, like, looking back on really though how your story started together, you guys were one of the top tag teams, I would say, on the independent wrestling scene. You took over Limitless for a while. You obviously took over GCW, but how when Rich and Powerful first formed, what was your guys' goal?
That's the thing. He didn't have a goal. I did. We go to Limitless. I want to be the top tag team there. He's worried about, the bum outside of the building. GCW. There are tag team championships within GCW. How come we never wrestled for them? We were winning matches.
Yeah,
It was because he wasn't focused. It was because he didn't care. Having gold around his waist, that didn't matter to him. It mattered to me. It matters to me. I'll tell you this, right after I'm done with him, when I throw him off the top of the cage and I win that match, my goal is to be the GCW world champion. I'm done playing around with him. I'm going to teach him a lesson. He wants to get into a steel cage with me. Listen, that's on him. I challenged him to a regular match. I wanted a regular wrestling match. You want to get in the cage with me? I'll show you what I can do. He thinks that he's the only sick one. Listen, I have a screw loose too. I just know how to, tighten the bolt when I get in the ring. He's in for a rude awakening.
for sure. And then there's a whole X factor in this whole situation, which I think is very important in the scheme of things, with your relationship still with Paro, who is another member of the Rich and Powerful, who you guys picked up along the way, if you will. And now he's in your corner. And so why did you and Paro stay close when Mason drifted out?
Because Pero was manipulated by Charles. Charles would never allow Pero to spread his wings to show what Pero can do. But when you saw in Rochester, I said, Pero, why don't you take care of Charles right now? Why don't you have the now he didn't finish the job. I had to get in the ring and finish the job. But I gave Pero that opportunity. Whereas Charles didn't do that. Charles kept Pero by the wayside and used him. I'm allowing Pero to show his true colors and his true potential. And Pero likes me better. I mean, I'm funnier than Charles. I'm better to hang out with. I'm cooler. We do more fun things. Charles was just lame and was just talking about poor people all the time. It's like, dude, I don't care about the poor.
Oh yeah. So, if you ask Charles Mason, he would say you snitched on him and got him thrown into prison in the first place. What is your mindset when you hear him and the GCW commentary team always saying, "Oh, well, it's your fault. You're running from him. You're ducking him every time he's showing up."
No, you see, that's the misinterpretation here. Is Charles is a sneak. Okay. And that's the worst kind of person that you can be, is to sneak up on another man. If you noticed in Los Angeles, or if you noticed in New Jersey, he snuck up on me. Now in Rochester, I called him out. I'm clearly not afraid of him. Why would I be afraid of him? I said, Charles, come to the ring. And then he came out to the ring. Did I run? No. I don't like to be snuck up on. Okay. I am a professional wrestler. Okay. I know who my opponent is, whether it's Charles or whether it's somebody else. I don't get snuck up on in the ring. That's a totally different thing. So if Charles wants to meet me in the ring, face to face, man to man, I'll do that 7 days a week. I'll handle that business easily. When you sneak up on me and you show me that you're just a little sneak and you're a little bitch because you sneak up on people, that's the worst kind of person.
Oh yeah. And with the tough part, I guess, about going up against someone like Charles Mason is the mind games that he plays. It seems like he's always two steps ahead, because then you go back to the Till Infinity show on New Year's, and Paro thought Charles Mason was coming out on the entranceway, and it turned out to be Paro's husband. And Mason just showed up in the ring behind you to kind of add to him sneaking up on you. What was your mind when Paro did fall for that trick and he ended up beating up his husband in the entranceway?
Charles actually snuck into a man's home and kidnapped Pero's husband. And fans are cheering for this guy and booing me. it just makes really no sense to me. Um, I don't blame Perro for what he did. It was like a bull seeing red, but in this case, he saw orange, and I kind of told him to go after him, but I don't blame him for what he did. You know, he was seeing red. He was feeling revengeful, and vindictive. He needed to get at Charles. He thought that was Charles. I thought it was Charles, and it ended up being his husband, who was probably either coerced or drugged or manipulated by Charles for him to just walk out. And it just shows you the low life that Charles is, the real putrid human being that he is. And when we enter the Hammerstein ballroom, there's going to be probably 1,500 people there. And if I hear even one person cheering for Charles and booing me, I'm going to think that they are just as low life as Charles, just as bad of a person. It should be 1,500 people giving me a standing ovation for what I did and booing the hell out of Charles. And then honestly, the police should show up. But if they don't, and it's just me teaching them a lesson, there should be 1,500 people beside me cheering me on.
Definitely. So all in all for you with this massive match that's going to be at Hammerstein and obviously one of the biggest shows for GCW. What are you looking to really accomplish? And I guess you could say at Hammerstein with Charles Mason.
I want to end this. I want this to be over. I want this chapter of my life to close. And there's no better way to do that than at the Hammerstein Ballroom inside of a steel cage. Now, I'm not a sick individual where I'm like, I'm gonna make you bleed and I'm gonna break your bones and I'm gonna this, that, and the other thing. Those things might happen though. I can't guarantee that they won't. But I'm telling you this, I'm walking out of Hammerstein Ballroom in one piece. I am walking out of Hammerstein Ballroom feeling just as good as I did walking in, looking just as good as I do walking in, and I'm going to leave a victor. And it's going to say in the history books that Richard Holliday defeated Charles Mason at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Bottom line. And then that idiot can go back to whatever the hell he wants to do with some poor individual outside of the Hammerstein Ballroom. Go do that. And let me accomplish all the great things that I accomplish in this industry. And you go back to, I don't know, beating up somebody in the subway.
So you kind of said it there. The you kind of said it there best, I should say. But looking ahead for you for the remainder of this year's just getting started. 2025 is looking to be a massive year for you. What are your future goals for this year? And do you have any opponents that you'd really like to face?
There's tons of potential first time matchups that have never happened out there with a lot of great individuals. But I tend to just think, excuse me, um, it's not so much about the first time matchup that could happen. It's just get Richard Holliday in the building, because when that happens, it's a show for the people. And you could tell by the ovations that I get everywhere I go all over the world. Um, like I said before, it's just different when Richard Holiday's in the building. So the goals are what they always are: is just continued growth of what I do, continue to make history. Like I said, I'm going back over to the UK. I hope to go to more countries, come back to Canada. I had 107 matches in 2024. Let's see if I can top that this year. And let's win championships. I just won the Awesome Championship Wrestling Championship in their inaugural show. So now I have two belts: Fight Life World Champion, the ACW World Champion. Let's add more belts to the collection. Whoever wants to book me in a championship match, I'm probably going to walk out as your champion. So those are the goals.
And is there anything leaving off this interview that you could say to anyone who might be watching this or reading this, or anywhere that they could follow you or support you or buy your merch?
Yeah, at Most Marketable on Twitter and on Instagram, and then the links for everything is going to be in my bios on that.
Perfect. Well, Richard Holiday, I thank you so much for your time and everything today. And it was really awesome to talk to you. And this week is going to be a blast. So I guess just buckle up and see how it goes.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Take care.